got there and opened up the trunk and took out my luggage and everything. And as soon as they took it out, people came and grabbed it and said, "Oh, we know where he's going to stay," and so forth. And then my parents got back in the car and started leaving. And I just stood there watching them leaving, and tears started rolling down my face. You know, got to remember, I was an only child, so I didn't have any brothers and sisters, and there I was left. And I go, "Oh no!" And as it turned out, two things happened. Number one, I had a fantastic week. I got involved in things they had at the camp, and actually almost forgot about my parents. And by the time they came to pick me up, I had won 2 or 3 awards and so forth for things I had done that week. And I really didn't even want to leave. And about 20 years later, I'm asking my mom about it. And she and I are talking, and she said, "Well, when I got in the car, I started crying." So it was a great experience for me in my life. And it was really probably the first time I realized I can do things on my own. I don't have to have my parents there for me. And that was very important going forward. So I served on the standing committee for 6 years, and when I left that, I actually wrote a letter to the bishop and asking her I said, because based on my experience with camps, I'd like to be interested on the board of directors for Cathedral Ridge. And so I got appointed. Not only did I get appointed, I became the secretary to take all the notes. And I did that for 5 years. What I've given you last time, and I thought hopefully that Sandra was coming over here, but she asked. But we'll just walk through this real quick. I'm going to give you a little bit of the history, and then John's going to tell you about what we're doing right now and where we're going. So he's the more important part of this, but at least you'll have this history and this background. The first page is just the board of directors, and it's also John's staff. He has had a wonderful staff. He'll probably mention this. One of the people really that was great up there, unfortunate, is leaving. Right. Yeah. But this will give you an idea of the people, both on the board of directors and also the people that are up there at Cathedral Ridge, just for your information. Now, the next page will show you a little background here. We used to have 2 camps in the diocese. One was Trinity Ranch. Trinity Ranch was on the Front Range. It was located about 20 miles west of Pueblo, just outside a town called Wetmore, down in that area. And there was another camp over on the western slope called Ilium, and it was located at Telluride. So there were 2 camps. And in 2010, you can see from here that we actually, in 2010, Bishop O'Neill, Rob O'Neill. Nan, will you pass that back to them right behind you? In 2010, Bishop O'Neill made a decision, and he had an opportunity to purchase. This was a Methodist camp which had been mothballed and had been out of service for several years. And John may allude to that a little bit, because taking over a mothball camp presents certain opportunities, as he would say.
And challenges.
And challenges. The camp actually, when we bought it, cost $2.6 million. 1.3 came from the Colorado Episcopal Foundation, which on the second page of the handout, and 1.3 million came from St. John's Cathedral. The 1.3 million from Colorado Episcopal Foundation has been forgiven. The St. John's Cathedral, they're still holding the note for the 1.3. You can see there the interest is the only thing we're paying right now is $39,000. Just for your information, we've been working with the people at the cathedral, and the dean and several of these people are very interested down the road in possibly forgiving that. Unfortunately, there's a couple people there right now who were there when that loan went out, and they don't want to forgive it. So However, as many of you know, the cathedral has an endowment of about $22 million, so they're in pretty good shape. You can see here the financial history, you know, how much was the income, how much was the expenses, and so forth. Bishop Rob, as he was developing this, we sold several properties, and Bishop Rob put that money into a fund for Cathedral Ridge. And if you look down there where I say number 3, you can see at one point we almost had a surplus of about $1 million. And if you look at the numbers on the income and expenses, you can see why that $1 million went away. I mean, we were trying to get close to breaking even, and we're struggling to get there. There was a lot of things to do in those early years. Anytime you start up a new camp, that's mothballed. And so all this kind of shows you is that early history. Because I was on the standing committee, I was kind of in a place where I could all see all this. If you look at the next page, the 3rd page, this gives you a little history for the last few years. The diocese was contributing $150,000 to the operation of Cathedral Ridge. In 23, they made a decision to go ahead and pay the salary of the executive director and the vicar, the person sitting to my left.
That'd be me.
That'd be you. And they also agreed to take on the loan. They would pay the interest each year. So the diocese is paying that. If you looked at the budget at all, you'd see the $150,000 for the regular payment, but the other amount of money they're being paid is kind of mixed in with the salaries and so forth. And you can see how we were doing there from 21 through 25. In several years, we came close to breaking even. How the other regions feel about Cathedral Ridge, and this is my feeling. I know High Plains was really very supportive of it, although a couple of churches, bigger churches, were concerned about, you know, finances for the camp. Front Range was about the same place. Sangre de Cristo, if you don't know, if you've never been to Cathedral Ridge, it's you go to Colorado Springs. How far is it up to Woodland Park?
Depends who's driving. It's 40 minutes.
40 minutes, yeah.
I'm 35, other people are 45.
And then how far out of Woodland Park? About 4 or 5 miles?
Just 5 miles.
5
So
miles.
if you go up to Woodland Park and take a ride on 67, it's just 5 miles right outside.
So Sangre de Cristo was real happy on where it's located because it's fairly close to their churches. Northwest and Southwest, I just made the comment, I've run into a lot of people over the years who either they went or their kids went to the camp over there, Ilium, which was on the western slope. And so you can imagine I think now we've kind of bridged that gap, and the western slope is beginning to accept Cathedral Ridge, but they probably weren't really excited about hearing that their camp was being closed and Cathedral Ridge they'd have to commute to. Why is 25 critical? We're just I think we're getting closer each year to breaking even, and consequently, I think we will get there in the next, if not this year, hopefully next year. And then you actually have the budget in here. So you can look at the 24 budget if you have questions on that, and you also have the 25 proposed budget in here. And then the last page is just an example of the camps. If you were at the first service, or John talked about a lot of these camps, the youth camps, elementary, middle school, high school, and then family camps and so forth. So I just showed a whole bunch of camps in there that are being held at Cathedral Ridge. So there you kind of have the history and the background and the numbers if you're looking at it. I presented this to the budget. This is nothing new for John. He's seen all the numbers and so forth. But John, what?
It's my favorite part.
Yeah. When it comes to numbers, John likes other people to take care of the numbers.
No.
So,
Thank you, Jim.
yeah, and if you have any questions, let me know. Pass this back to Pete.
So on the back there actually is, I put on the back table over there, there's this right here, which is next summer's camp dates for youth camps and family camps. They're going to be offered next summer. Back there's also a sheet like this is how to partner with us to do different things throughout the year. We have 40 different retreats other than the summer stuff there that we do during the year, from vestry retreats to women's retreats, men's retreats, various youth retreats, other adult offerings and stuff there for our abound retreats, which are our leadership retreats. So for instance, we do a leadership retreat we've done ones for deacons, or for congregational leaders, or for music leaders and stuff there, parish ministry. We do different kind of leadership retreats for the parishes to help say, how do we empower leaders to go back into congregations and stuff. Well, we're going to offer 2 new ones next year they will be for faith formation, so leaders that are doing faith formation in congregations, and leaders that are doing ones that are justice ministry and stuff there. So there's a big push for that, so we're going to have a justice ministry, those leading, helping that in congregations. The idea is that we can't do this alone. So part of what Cathedral Ridge is about is bringing people together. Bringing, whether it's youth together, whether it's children, families, parishes, vestries, various places. How do we do this together? Grow in our faith, like I mentioned in the sermon and stuff there. How do we do that? And then go back out into congregations. We're not doing this alone. So let me start a little bit, though, for me, and I'm going to stand up because I don't do well sitting down. This is what happens when you're a priest. You got to stand up and walk. Is that in my backgrounds in camps and conferences, I've been ordained since '98. I came out of Texas, originally San Antonio, Diocese of West Texas, was the director of camps and conferences for the Diocese of West Texas, as well as youth ministry and college ministry. And then I was crazy enough to take a parish in Australia for a little bit, and then came back to a place, a foundation called Laity Lodge, which is, if anybody from Texas knows, the H-E-B grocery company. So it's actually the H-E-B Foundation that I worked for. But it's the camp I grew up in, and I got a chance from scratch to build a camp from scratch to develop that. So the 2 camps that run as Camp Capers, got a chance to build a camp on the coast from Mustang Island, and then, which is a preceding, because the Diocese of West Texas actually has a camp in Colorado too, called Duncan Park. And so they have 3 camps and stuff there within there. So I've run those things, and then here, in Texas, Laity Lodge Family Camp, developed that. And how you start a camp from scratch is this. Hey, I'll pay you to come to camp. Please come to camp. You get people, you got to get them to come and build and stuff there. And then I've led some churches in between. I led a church in San Antonio, and then here in Denver I did St. PJ's. But I felt called to come back. It was a time in which I needed to be away from camp ministry because my kids were kind of middle school and high school. And to do it during that time is difficult because you need to get away from that because you need to be with your kids. So I was doing family camp and neglecting my family. And so it was a chance that I really needed to develop to that. But I've come back into Cathedral Ridge. And Cathedral Ridge is just an amazing place, but it's been underutilized. And the only way to do that is develop relationships. And so I've come to you actually saying, how do we develop relationships? Let me tell you about what we're doing, what's going on at camp right now, what we're hoping to do, and then how do we then, as this brochure and stuff there's, how do we partner together? Maybe you are part of that, whether it's your bringing retreat, whether you're supporting kids that go to camp, or whether you're doing a particular retreat you're going to, or supporting others in that. Because at the end of the day, our growth together, our growth of helping people grow in the faith and their relationship with God and Christ is a together thing. We're just a resource for that, to help you do that. And I'll tell you about the numbers too and what we're trying to do to make that work financially. I'll get into that as well. So let me start with a video, which is going to be next. And this is actually from this past summer, and some people both youth and families. Something like that, yeah.
outside of Woodland Park, Colorado for family camp. We are enjoying nature as a group and as families and as individuals, and kind of able to enjoy both group and individual time, and just be in nature, exist.
I just like really love this place just because I like have a lot of memories here from when I was little, and I also feel like there's new opportunities and new experiences every time I'm here, so it's not all the same. There's always something new.
The activities are really fun. Like there's horses where you get to like ride them and train them, and there's the boats course and kayaking, and it's all just really fun to do.
No matter if you have friends from like other places or like just meet them here, I always meet with new friends, and I always have friends throughout the year then. And also just like the nature and being so secluded up here so that it's not like we're not distracted by other things. We just have all the mountains surrounding us. Really pretty.
Over the different camps and summers that I've been here, you know, I can definitely see the like growth in campers, you know, from like, you know, from the like first day of camp on like Sunday afternoon when they get here to like Friday when they leave. Like some kids might be, you know, like shy or like, you know, kind of held back like initially, you know, but
That's what you guys want to do.
after, you know, like day or two of activities and like, you know, and like playing and like worshiping with each other, you can see a stark difference between our campers on day 1 to campers on day 5, or like summer 1 to like summer 3.
So for me, I feel God just being in the awesome wonder of creation up here at camp. I don't feel like you can be up here and not feel God. It's just everywhere and everything up here.
It's really helped me grow my faith in ways I didn't even know was like possible, because I pray a lot more now. I think of God in my daily life a lot more.
Personally, I've always like struggled with like believing in God and faith and everything, but I think coming here and just seeing like how much everyone cares about their relationship with God and how no one forces it on someone else kind of helps just like me believe more, because we practice different kinds of praying and different kinds of all sorts of stuff, so we get to really look into religion.
Everyone here is willing to answer your questions, and it's not, you have to do this, or you have to believe this. I think it's a great place to like learn things and question things, and everyone here is willing to walk with you through that and try new things and expose yourself to new texts and prayers and everything. And I think that's so important, especially to learn it disconnected from the rest of the world without all those pressures, kind of doing it in a place that is just so peaceful. I think it's the perfect place to try new things without the stress if something goes wrong.
If you are on the fence about coming to camp, you're not sure that the outdoors are your thing, there is something for everybody here.
It'll be an experience I'll never forget, and I still haven't forgotten the last couple of years. They're just amazing.
It's a super fun retreat. You'll grow like a lot in faith. You'll probably meet some really cool people, and it's a place that you can like keep going.
Just absolutely go for it. Do it. It's a weekend that you will remember for the rest of your life.
See, that could be you. More like this. So on the, go to the next slide there. So some of the activities and stuff we have at camp are that you saw the high and low ropes course and stuff there, with the climbing tower, the zip line, the swing, and all those kind of things. The one that I'm scared to do is the one you climb up a pole and you have to get up on the pole. Now you can see it. And jump out to a trapeze, but you're hooked into a line and stuff. You can't fall. But But you know, some people don't like those things, so there's other things going on. You saw the lake on there. That's actually not on property. It's 5 miles down the road. It's your lake, and we use that. We take kids over there, our adults over there, and we go kayaking and fishing over there and use that property. And then next to us is a property that we partner with Faithful Hearts, and they run horses. And so we use them, and they only charge us like $40 a ton for horse and stuff there to do that, which is really cheap. If you ever gone horseback, it's like $90 now to do that. And so, and that they also do something that's really important. They actually help kids for 2 hours. They help them learn about the horse, learn how it's God's creation and stuff there, and learn about how you can deal with that. So it's more than just horseback. You actually know about how to saddle, how to brush the horse, how to care for it, what they look for, and all those kind of things is a part of that. And then we've added, as you saw in there, whitewater rafting for senior high. So we can actually go whitewater rafting over in Buena Vista or whatever part of the country you're from to say that word. And so we do that as well. And so those are some of the things. We also do arts and crafts and funny games, and it's camp, right? But that's youth camp, but you also have some of those things in family camp. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So I'll go to the next slide for a second. Keep going one more. So we do youth camps 3rd through 5th grade, middle school, high school, and then what we call Creatives Camp, which is what we added this year, which is a camp for around art and music. And next year, as a part of that, we're going to do robotics as a part of that as well. So we'll do, the idea behind that is that there are kids going to camp, but they want to, but they're not interested in some of those other activities. They want to do other things, so we create another camp around art, music, and so it's a STEM and stuff there is what we're trying to do in robotics. But they still do fun activities, but they also have this built around that and stuff. Then we partner with some other people. Diocese of Northwest Texas does not have a camp, so we offer a camp with them as well. And then we offer, the next one, go to the next slide, we do family camps. Is that next slide?
It's shifting here, but
I'll let you.
Stuck over there.
I don't know. Well, I'll just
We're having lots of.
You keep going, and you'll find it. So family camps. When I say family camps, I mean all different families. There are people of different ages, or no kids, or kids with people with singles, but sometimes they're part of a parish family. So how do we do family camps that do parish family camps or family camps in which you come? Some of this, we do a Pride family camp, we've got a Creation family camp, we do a multicultural family camp, and we do a Latino family camp and stuff there. And then we really partner with parishes to do their parishes together. So we do those kind of things. And that happens so right now we went from 3 when I came, and we have 11 now. So we've grown our youth camps from, we just had a high school, we did a high school camp when I first came. We had a 3rd through 5th in middle school, but now we have 5 of those, and then we have 11, like I said, we had 3 family camps, and now we have 11, so we've kind of grown from that.
So what kind of utilization rate do you run?
Say,
Do you measure metrics like utilization?
Utilization of what?
A facility.
Of facility, yeah. So I'll get into that in a second. Okay. I promise you, I'll show you the numbers and stuff there. I'll show you the exact numbers and stuff that gets into that. Because programmatically, the way you fill those is you do different things and stuff to reach different people what they need. So even like I said, we have 40 different now retreats throughout the year that we use, that we only had half of that just a few years ago. So we're adding that. The problem, of course, is now it's not so much, we're actually filling up on weekends and during the summer. Like this next summer, we'll be full in terms of camps offered. We have to fill those completely and stuff there. So for instance, St. Timothy's Family Camp came last year for the first time. They had a one night, and they had 40 people. They had 40, and they have people that are now on the wait list. They want to come. They're going to bring 60 this next year. So we just kind of keep growing those numbers. The high school camp was 10 when I started, and now there's 25 this last summer. And what you do, this is I've built camps and grown camps before, and you have to create entry places into camp. So family camp is one of those things. So your church would come to camp, and bring in some of those maybe families with kids, and some of those kids come to camp. Like Jim said, he came and just got dropped off, and we're like, what do I do? But instead, they come to family camp and go, oh, I love this place. I know this cabin. I know some of these staff. I know some of the stuff we do. So next year they come to youth camp, and they come and they feel, okay, this is my place, because this is my ownership of this place. And we create entry places into that. And you do it 3rd through 5th grade when they're excited and they come to camp. Some of those parents aren't willing to let their 3rd or 5th grade go to camp. Some of you may have been like that. I got dropped off like Jim when I was 7 years old, because I was the youngest in my family, and they were like, please, go away. But instead, the stuff that we want is to create an opportunity that those families can come and know this is a safe place. How do we build that relationship with each other? So part of the reason I'm here is to build that relationship, to kind of give an idea of what this place is like and what you can be a part of, and to grow that. So the other pieces and stuff there is the family. So those are the family camps and stuff there. I mentioned all those. Those are the churches right now that are becoming. St. Tim's, Holy Comforter, St. John's Cathedral, St. Michael, St. Matthew, St. Thomas, St. Luke's, Fort Collins. We're adding 2 more of those next summer. I think the Steamboat is going to be coming as well. Grand Junction and stuff there. We're adding one of those that are coming to that. But this is the problem. You run out of room, right? You only have so many days during the summer. Literally, almost every day will be used this next summer. So then you have to just increase the numbers within that. That's when you're talking about utilization of that. So and I'll get the numbers in a second, but in a few years, we'll be able to max out the numbers within there, if my projections are correct and stuff there. But how do we go from there? What do you do? Because we only have 22 rooms in a lodge, and we have 2 cabins that hold 56 people and stuff there. That's the max. It's not big enough, but in my experience of running camps, you want to be to about 120 is what you want to get to around there to make it really work financially and stuff there. I'll get into that in a second. So next slide. Good. We have those abound retreats, so that's part of what I was mentioning. We want things for adults. It's not just about kids. So how do we bring adults here? It's got a great 22-room lodge with 2 queen beds and bathroom, individual bathrooms. It's just like a hotel. It's a nice hotel. They have meeting space for that. We have for that size, we can do that. But we can't get any bigger than that for adults. That's the most we can do. We have one other cottage that we use that could hold 8 people, 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. And that's the maximum we're at. So which just limits us in our ability financially to make that work. It's great for retreats. So the idea is to grow that, and I'll do that, keep going. We also host retreats, so like women's retreats, Lenten retreats, renewal retreats. We have all of these retreats on there, choirs, young adults, different committees. All that's happening right now. So a lot of our weekends this next year are not completely taken up, but somebody is in every weekend, okay? What we need to do, though, is to grow from one group in every weekend to multiple groups in every weekend and using different spaces. And this is what happens, what I've learned is that, oh, we love going to Cathedral, it's just us, it's wonderful, and that's great, but we need to have 3 groups going on at Cathedral. So to move that, we're doing a vestry retreats with 3 vestries that can have a leader that can help grow the vestries together and think about how they can work together or things they're not learning from each other so that they can break off and do their own thing as well. You see what I mean? So we can do different programs simultaneously. So what we're doing this summer with family camp and youth camp is we're running youth camp from Sunday to Friday, and family camp from Friday to Sunday, which means you rotate your staff. So that we have every day being used in there, and you utilize them. Keep going. So we start in 23, which Jim was talking about. We had 824 guests. This year, including the numbers will be right at the end of the year, will be around 1,460 guests that we've grown. But we have to grow larger than that, stuff there to make it work financially. Keep going one more. Oh no, that's back. You went back. There. So the summers, we had 229 guests in 23. We had 661 this past summer. Which we had started with 5 family camps and 3 youth camps, and we've now moved it. We'll be 9, we'll be 11 next year. and the youth camps will be at 5, except I'm gonna add 3 more youth camps. But not at camp, because we don't have any more room at camp, any room at youth camp. So we're gonna run it in places. Plus it has to do with the camps that Jim was talking about that we sold. So we're gonna do Cathedral Ridge on the road. We're gonna do day camps. The Lutherans are doing it, this is no new idea. They do it all over Colorado. And so we're gonna partner with Fort Collins, with Steamboat, and one in the southwest with Grand Junction, and we're partnering with some other people to make our youth camp on the road there to meet some of those youth. Cathedral Ridge cares about you and is gonna meet you where you're at. So 2 of those are gonna be day camps. One of those may be a day camp or maybe overnight. We're still working on that. So we can add them, and so we're gonna hire between 5 staff, 1 leader, and 4 staff to run those camps. There's a fee for those, and helps to put those on, so that we can run camps not even with us, but someplace else. And we'll partner with the churches to do that, and that'll be next summer. Keep going. Keep going. One more. So this is, I want to say, is our vision. Cathedral Ridge is a sanctuary, and just like this and over there is a sanctuary, this place is a deep connection and transformation through a relationship with God and Christ, one another, and creation. I mentioned it in my sermon, I mentioned it, it's about that relationship. So we want to build those relationships, because what happens is that kids are transformed, adults are transformed when they get away from all the stuff that they have, including this thing, right? You get away from this, you get away from all the stuff that distracts you, and you actually spend time in conversation and relationship, and you share about what's meaningful in your life. And what happens is you grow deeper in that you can never sometimes even do right here. So that's why we're a part and partner to you as a church, because you guys can do so much here, but you can also take that and grow deeper when you come out there that you couldn't do in this place, because people are distracted. And how do we do about that? With youth, with families, with adults, all of those things. That's what we're trying to be able to do.
So when I was there for a retreat, pilgrimage retreat, about 3 years ago, we had to go to a specific room to have connectivity. Otherwise, there was no connectivity.
No, we have all connectivity. We have connectivity everywhere.
Oh, you did? I liked how you did it before.
I know, but so we need connectivity because people can't. But you don't have to. You have to connect to it. So you can't, like, it doesn't come off automatically.
Okay. You're trying to restrict.
So you actually have to connect to it, because there are people that need to be able to emergency.
I thought that was one of your better features.
No, it's a great feature.
I felt like a quarter mile.
Now cell service is like that. So you don't get cell service unless you do this. Yeah. You have to kind of get up on a building or something and stuff there. So cell service, but web service, people do need to, I was on a retreat one time with my wife, and I was out away, and there was a big emergency, and they couldn't reach me at all. So there's a need for that. And sometimes people have to do work even though they're on retreat. So it's a balance in that. I worked in a canyon, you couldn't get service, but we had to have web service so people could get emergency and be able to do things. So it's this balance. Keep going. Oops.
That went away. So
That's
we're
good.
having, speaking of connectivity, I don't know what's going on, but things are coming in and going out, and I don't know.
So I'll tell you, where we're heading and stuff there is that we're getting to a place where we won't be able to, we'll fill up our current space and stuff here, using retreats and stuff here. Some of those, not just with us, we do have other partners within, not just Episcopal Church, but other places and stuff that we do, renewal ministries, various places. So we hope to do this. You can keep going past that if you. So that's our camper facility. So we hope to be able to, our current facility holds, like I said, 56 plus counselors, and then family can hold up to 80. We had 90 something at Latino family camp and at multicultural camp. But you're using people like on the floor. I mean, you're using a lot of space. And adults is 52. This is what we hope to build right here, and it'll be on there too, is to build, this is what we call a new convertible cabin. And the idea behind this convertible cabin is the roof doesn't come off, but it's 2-story, and it's on a hill, and you can come in from different levels. And this is basically it can be a youth camp with 6 bunk beds, and so you can have 2 counselors and 10 campers. And these are There's 4 sides of that. So there's 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these. But these beds can also fold into the wall, and you can make them king beds or single beds. And the idea behind this is that we can change based on what, so we have a family camp, you need it like this. If you have a youth camp, you have it like this. This can become a king bed, so you can have 2 king beds if you want adults, or you can have some singles if you have adults that want, you can change it based on your needs and stuff there. And if we add 3 of these buildings, then we can be more than 120 for our youth camp, 140 with family camps, and at least 88 on our adults and stuff there, which would more than max us be able to get financially to where we need to go to make it break even long term. This is what, and the other part is that if you have those numbers, you need a new meeting space, and this would be a meeting space. And these are actually around, if you've been to Cathedral Ridge, there's the dining hall and the back side of that where there's a chapel, a Ponderosa Chapel. On that hill next to Astor, we're going to build 3 of those on that hill around there. And on the other side of Ponderosa Chapel to build this new meeting space. So you make a community. And in that, can you go further? Does it go? Okay. It'll actually have a creek that goes down the middle of it because water is great to be able to hear and create a sense of kids can play in it, adults can listen to it. It's just a great feature to be able to have. So these are the numbers. Right now we're at that 500,000 revenue, gifts of 80,000, diocese square of 150. That's what makes it work. We're a little lower than that on the gifts this year, and we're slightly lower on the revenue, but we'll get there. 2030, we hope to be at 775, but that'll max out every space that we have if we're going to get there. To use our current space, that's the max. We would have to use every space and all the time, which is really, honestly, difficult to do. You don't ever really max out everything and stuff there, because there's people. This is what happens. I'm going to bring 40 people at my retreat, and you bring 30. So those kind of things. So in order to get there, we need to build this to do what 2034 looks like. Okay? So you need to get you over 1 million. They're still using 80,000 gifts as a total with no diocesan support and stuff. That's what will make us. But the only way possible is to build those. And that's about, those are each about 1.5 million. So you're talking with a total thing of between 6 and 7 million to do, and then that builds about 2 million. So it's about $6 to $7 million to build those things over time. I'm talking, Bishop and I and some others are talking about possibilities to do this not just on a Cathedral Ridge scale to raise money, but to do this as a diocesan event to raise money with other things going on. And so to kind of make it a whole diocesan support of not only Cathedral Ridge, but other things happening in the diocese as well. But you see that the time frame is not right now. I'm talking about by 2034 to make that happen. But we want to raise money in the next, starting in the next 2 years to start the process, and then build it from there. Does that make sense? What questions do you have? I've covered a lot of material. What things do you want to know? Is there anything that excites you about that?
I love Cathedral Ridge. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Because we do the daughters of the King every Monday. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to mention 2 or 3 things, and this might cause a question. Originally, it is incorporated as Cathedral Ridge Camp and Conference Center. About 3 or 4 years ago, we revised that and made it Cathedral Ridge Camp and Retreat Center, but the official name is Conference Center. And the reason we did that is because we've been told by several people that we need to expand the camp to be a conference center because it just isn't big enough right now.
Well, but the thing is that you can do both. You just don't have to, this would be, a conference center is more like 400 people and stuff. Yeah. You have multiple things like that. The retreat center, you can keep the retreat center feel and keep it at 120 and make it work. That's why it's important to be able to do that and stuff. Staff-wise, with camps we have cottages we use for our staff to stay in so that we can reduce the cost of our overheads. We don't have to pay as much for somebody in terms of salaries-wise. So we do some of that. What we're trying to do is, you you try to create it less as possible, but there's still costs to camp, and there's still just electricity costs, gas costs, all those kind of things that are still there that you have to do. And you increase, but there are also costs to that, so you have to have your numbers right to make it work, both income and your expense costs. I have just been here 2 years. I'm just now getting a handle on what that actually is. What's the real cost? What's killing us most is insurance, to be honest with you. So I didn't have to pay fire insurance.
Until about 2 years ago, we were actually part of church insurance, which is what insures all the churches in Colorado. About 2 years ago, church insurance thought it was too much of a liability to have a camp with trees and everything around because of all the fires they were hearing about. So church insurance, we were paying about $40,000 a year for insurance, and they pulled the rug and just said, we're not going to insure camps anymore. And when we went out initially to find insurance for the camp, the cost was $100,000.
$120,000.
Yeah, so you can see that was a little bit of a setback. I think we've got it down a little bit now. But
we got it down to 90.
Yeah. And the other thing that John knows about is anytime you pick up a camp like this, you probably reconstructed a lot of the water lines up there because we've had leaks and so forth. And I think we've got most of that under control now.
So what's the current replacement value then? You talked about a $6-7 million expansion, but what's the replacement value that you have to insure from?
Right now, it's only $3 million so there, but of course it'll go up with that. But insurance is just, the question is, it's really fire. It's not the other parts. Liability stuff is not, you go back down to 50 and 60,000 because of fire. That's what kills us. That's the issue.
I assume you put in fire suppression systems.
Yeah, all that's in every building. So
they still pay that kind of premium.
It's just because, actually we're being covered by a place in Florida because that is diversified.
They don't know anything about forest fires.
No, the funny part is that the amount, exactly, they balance their portfolio, right? So most of their stuff is in Florida, so they get the hurricane, and we're not getting it, so therefore they don't have to pay for us. Whereas in Florida, they have to pay for all the hurricane things. But it also, the only bad part is that theirs is about hail and wind, so we do have hail and wind too, but the cost you have to pay deductible for hail and wind is high. That's the only bad thing. So it's hard to get coverage for hail and wind like normally in Colorado. You go get new roof, yay! Y'all done that, right? You got new roofs because your deductible is that much. But ours is like way up here because it's all Florida place. That's the only good. But every camp across the country, every church, guys, is dealing with that too. Insurances.
If you remember the report I did on the first week, there's 8 diocesan institutions that report to the diocese. Cathedral Ridge is one of those diocesan institutions, and each of those are asked to make a report at the diocesan convention. So John had to do a report, and just so you know, if you want a copy of that, there's plenty of copies on the back table. You can pick them up on your way out. But it goes into a lot of the things that John is telling you now.
So John, is the shift taking place with regards to a conference center versus, a retreat?
The idea that the retreat is really, now I wasn't there when they said that, but the retreat is, in terms of congregation, in terms of people, you want to create a retreat experience, not a conference experience, but you need to make it large, so it's that balance between those two, right? So how do we make it large enough to be a retreat, that you feel that retreat, because otherwise, why are we doing this in the first place? We want to create a place that really changes lives. So you want to keep that retreat, but the conference side, the reason for the conference size is just the size to make it work financially. If you go to some larger conference centers, you go to Canoga, for instance. Anybody been to Canoga before? Or Camp Allen? Those are conference centers that you use the spaces, but there's a lot of other people there with you. What we want to do is go between that and have where there are some other people there, but you have spaces to retreat into. So you want to create that. I've done 2 other ones, like I said, we built Camp Capers is now sufficient in West Texas. Mustang Island now will be once they just finish their other buildings, and so they'll be able to be, so you need to be self-sufficient, but not so big that you become all in one place conference center. Does that make sense? So that's the key in this. From my experience, I've done, like I said, 2 other ones. Lake Geology is the same thing. What Lake Geology is, they had 2,000 acres, which was kind of helpful, and a grocery company behind them. And so they built 6 different camps within the 2,000 acres, and all having a retreat experience because they weren't with each other. We have 160 acres, and about 40 of that actually is buildable space. The rest of it is go out activity space. So you want to make it large enough within that retreat space so that it works retreat-wise, but big enough to make it financially work.
Yeah.
Do you market it all to commercial?
Yeah, so we do. We have not, they have not, I don't say I haven't, but we're starting to do it with the military because we're close to Colorado Springs, which is a big avenue. So that's our next step to fill in spaces during the week is to do military groups particularly. We can do business groups. We're not the best business because we don't have the Wi-Fi. We have to use,
Starlink.
What's it?
Starlink.
Starlink. We use Starlink, which is fine, but it's not the fastest thing in the world. And so where we are, places closer to Colorado Springs or Denver are better at that. And so it's hard to compete in that market. You compete in the military market because they want to get away and get their fuel away in terms of that, so it works well with that. There's some smaller business stuff. For us, we're just not large enough to do a lot of corporate retreats and stuff there. You need to be a little bit bigger, and that's where you get into the kind of the large conference center pieces and stuff there. That's why Camp Allen, they chose to, in fact, Camp Allen has it, but they actually have a for-profit and a non-profit arm of it and stuff there. They have a for-profit that goes with business and a non-profit that goes with the non-profit stuff. I don't think we're going to go that route. We can fill, we have even this, with doing government, non-profit, schools, those kind of things, and stay in that market without going for-profit.
When I was 5 years, I was in Houston. We went to Camp Allen almost every year with a father-child retreat. But after I left there, I was talking to one of the people that was associated with Camp Allen, and he told me that they had 3 endowments in the Diocese of Texas that they could pull money out of to expand the camp and do things. And see, we're not there yet. Now, I gotta say one thing about this though. John has the experience. He's been at camps before. He's brought the water aspect in, which we didn't use before, the horse aspect and so forth. A lot of things that kids really like. So he's been, and I'll say this, and I've said this to a lot of groups, if this camp is going to be successful like we anticipate it will be, John is the right person to be at the head of Cathedral Ridge at this time.
But it really, in terms of diocesan camp, what we want is like every church to be sending kids and stuff there, so that, and I'm working with Elizabeth at the Diocesan Center over Youth Ministry, with Kimberly doing Yes and missions and stuff there, with churches, and we do this together. The way that'll change lives is that kids will come to camp, okay, or come to a youth event like Quest that's happening at Cathedral this next weekend, or come to their youth group and stuff there, and we connect them to the other, so their experience, they get your youth right here experience, their children here experience, your families here, but then they have this together with a larger community, okay, and they have this renewal, and they learn from each other, and then they go, and some of them are ready to go on a mission trip and go over to Alaska, or go down to, they're going to the Pacific Northwest next year and stuff. They're going to be doing that. They're going to go on pilgrimages. And it grows their faith and develops them a relationship that's not just my little church, but it's also not just this. We actually, God is all these different places, and we help to grow that. And then they can become counselors. For the first time this year, Cathedral Ridge is having campers become counselors. We're not very old. I mean, this camp's only been around 10 years, really, in terms of camp. And we're just now having kids now become counselors and raising them up. I'm working on a grant it'll be next year, but the year after that for the bigger picture, is to do not only our CIT program, our counseling training, but our counselor program, which is a training program. We're gonna grow up our counselors. But then they have a 9-month internship that people can do either following college or during college and stuff there. So they're got leadership program and stuff there. And I'm working on a grant that would give us $300,000 to start that. So
You might mention what's going on with Quest too, because this is the first year we've ever done Quest at Cathedral.
that's the second year. Second year we did Quest. So last year we did Quest. So the events, what we're trying to do is we're trying to work together simultaneously that all this works, so we're not competing with one another. It actually is one thing. And that's what we're trying to do. So Quest, and we'll have 90 kids this weekend. It's happening, it's growing up, but it does take time. There's no great way, you know, like I said, when you start something or when you're developing something, you start by, please, I'll pay you to come to campus. So financially, you have to kind of get it going, you get momentum, and there's a certain place in which it just takes off. We're right at that place. And we're in that momentum. They have that, and it's growing, it's working with youth, kids, families, adults, but give it some time to kind of grow. The money will come as that goes along. The money will come. And from there, that's why I'm waiting a couple of years to raise money for this, but I'm trying to plant the seeds for that, to say what's going on. Okay? I know we're out of time.
We're close. Yeah.
What we've talked about raising money too, and we tried to raise money before by getting money from the various churches, and you can imagine how well that went over because a lot of churches are struggling. What we're really moving towards is with John there now, developing the programs we have, we're hoping to get close to breaking even so we can go out to churches that have people that are willing to write checks for the expansion versus the churches. And we think that'll work because we've talked to different people, and there's some churches up in the mountains in Vail and Breckenridge and Aspen. They have members that can write significant checks if they believe in what you're doing, and that is what John is creating.
We're trying to create, so I was in Aspen and talked to a number of people and stuff there, the possibility of giving to that, so they're doing that. I go around the diocese and share it. Because I don't just share it because we want to raise money. I share it because it's going to change lives. Think about 40 years from now, okay? These kids' lives will be changed, and they're sending their kids' lives designed to be changed and stuff in life and they're back in churches, helping your church and other churches because they believe in this God who loves them because of their experience they've had in this place. But we haven't had that. I mean, when you grow at Camp from the start, you don't have any of that history. Camp Capers was easy. They were since 1947. They were changing lives for 100 years before I got there. I mean, you know, it's like it was easy to kind of do that. Here, you know, the camp I grew up in Laity Lodge and stuff there since 1967 they were doing this there. But it takes a while to grow that. But I'm casting that vision to say, look at the difference that we'll make for years to come. That will do this. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to plant something that will impact here. The Diocese of West Texas, do you know where the last 7 bishops came out of? Camp Capers. We want to grow the faith within this community. Colorado, in my experience, and I've not been here that long, it calls a lot of people from outside, but how do we grow it out from here, inside? How do we make those lives so that they impact will not be in lay people and clergy alike and stuff over many years. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, John. You'll answer questions.
Yeah, other questions.
Turn all this stuff off.
Thanks for taking the time off. There is in the back, there's these right here, these brochures, these partner with us, is the financial